If you're looking for an easy-to-understand guide to the Olympic trials, then you've come to the right place. Today, I answer how to watch the event, who to watch there, and give my predictions on who will make Team USA. So let's stop stalling and start talking wrestling. What's going on, wrestling fans? My name's Josiah, and welcome to the Fanco Wrestling Show, where we will discuss everything going on in the world of wrestling. And this is the big one. The Olympic trials are here. Next week, we will know who is on Team USA, who will be representing the United States at the Olympics. And actually, not every weight is even qualified for the Olympics yet. And did you know that there are even a couple weights where there are guys sitting in the finals? I know there's a lot going on with this event and a lot of questions to be had. I actually had put out a post on YouTube the other day talking about how it's not that easy to understand everything going on with the Olympic trials, and is actually driving me kind of crazy. So I wanted to assuage all of those fears and all of the questions that you had and actually answer them in an easy-to-understand way. So today we're going to be talking all about this, how to watch the Olympic trials, the highly anticipated match for the trials, your most asked questions, the frequently asked questions. We will be going over those a little bit later in the show, and then I will be ending the show talking about my predictions for the Olympic trials. It's going to be one heck of a time. Make sure you're commenting along if you're watching the live show, or if you're watching after on Apple Podcasts. Make sure that you are at least hitting that subscribe button so you're staying up to date on the latest in Fanco wrestling. So let's get into first the biggest question on everybody's mind. So let's talk about how to watch the trials. So the biggest question on everybody's mind is how to watch the Olympic trials. And if you're looking for how to watch the Olympic trials, I'm going to explain to you on Friday and Saturday, April 2nd and 3rd. All 18 weights will be wrestled over 18 days in every single style, wrestling simultaneously. Now, if you're just looking for direct links to the event, I have that down in the description. That'll take you right there to sign up for the service. But I'm telling you right now, you're going to want to stick around for a little bit longer because this is kind of difficult to understand. I mean, I actually spent an hour the other day just trying to understand how to get this, how to watch this event. And if you're having those annoyances, I promise you I'm here to solve them for you. So let's talk about the schedule for the Olympic trials that will be broadcast on Peacock, NBCSN, and the NBC Sports app. I have this little graphic I made for you here to understand how to watch all of it. I'm going to be explaining that. The finals are actually, they're starting on Friday at 11 o'clock in the morning on Peacock. So 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, you can start watching the Olympic trials on Peacock. Now, Peacock is a paid service. I believe it's about $5 a month, and when you sign up, you're able to get all of their programming, including the Olympic trials. Now, not all the Olympic trials or the match will be streamed on Peacock. Some of them, starting on Friday night, will be on the NBCSN or the NBC Sports app. So if you have cable, you're able to watch it on there. If you don't have cable, I'm going to tell you how some other options for you, but you can start watching the trials in the early rounds on Peacock. They do have a free 1-week trial for you to actually watch the Olympics. So if you've never subscribed to Peacock, you can check that out. Now, to explain to you some of the other things happening, because there are 3 mats across 2 platforms. You see mat 1, mat 2, mat 3, and I know that it's difficult and annoying to understand, but only one mat will be streamed on NBCSN, so that means if you want to watch all the finals going on at once across every single style, women's freestyle, men's freestyle, and Greco-Roman, you're going to have NBCSN or the NBC Sports app and Peacock up at the exact same time. It's going to be a crazy setup. I understand. It's not going to be streaming on ESPN. It's not on Flow Wrestling. It's not anywhere else except the NBC Sports app and Peacock. So please understand that. Now, Those sitting in the finals will not wrestle until Saturday, and I'll discuss that in another segment. That's the big one you're going to be watching. The big one you're going to be watching is the best 2 out of 3 finals. If you can watch anything, watch the finals Saturday night at 7:30. There will be consolations on Saturday to understand who the backups are for Team USA, but the championship series, best 2 out of 3 championship series, is at 7:30 p.m. Matt, 2 on NBCSN, the others on Peacock. Now, I'm going to tell you the good thing about subscribing to Peacock, and no, this isn't like a sponsorship, a promo. This is just, I find it kind of cool. They will be showing the Burroughs documentary on Peacock, a brand new documentary streaming starting April 1st. So this is kind of like their own little flow film that NBC made up, and it's awesome that they're doing this feature on Jordan Burroughs. So make sure you watch out for that. The other cool thing, there are other cool features about Peacock. I mean, if you're a fan of The Office, there will be there is Office streaming on Peacock, kind of cool. So let me tell you about also options if you don't have cable. So if you don't have cable, these are your options. You have 4 of them. I have 4 of them for you. Okay, so number 1 is mooch off your parents. To be honest with you, that's what I do for cable, because you have to have cable with the NBC Sports app, and so I just hook it up to my parents' cable, even though I won't get into all that, but I'm able to hook it up through that and actually get cable and watch it through the app. I did that in college. I do that now. It's easy, and chances are, if you have parents, good chance they have cable. You know, it's tough for them to actually cut off. Cut the wire, similar to like what I'm done. I have no cable. All I do is like, Netflix and Hulu and all that. So mooch off your parents. That's one way. Number 2, find a friend, find a coach, find a teammate. Even somebody you haven't connected with in a while, get back with them to watch the event and just have a great night. That's something that I'm going to be doing. Go to a restaurant or sports bar if you can. Ask them to put it on the TV. I mean, chances are if you're at a sports bar, there are going to be other people who are interested. Maybe you even strike up a conversation. I know it's virus time, just not that easy to do all of that, but I wanted to give you the option depending on the state you're in. Like if you are in Texas and unable to go to the event, or if you're in Florida, whatever it is. If your state's open, go to a sports bar or a restaurant. The other is wait for the results from the media. I know Flow Wrestling is going to be doing a watch-along party. I'm going to have all the results, talking about that next week on the channel, but I wanted to give you the update on how to watch the event. I know it's confusing, but I hope that really explained how to watch the event. So, with that out of the way, let's talk about there's a lot of fun to talk about now. So, I dove into, and I'll actually get into this. And before I do, I want to actually give a shout out to John Smith for, I believe it's the 3rd or 4th week in a row, super chat of $100. Unbelievable support. And if you are enjoying this Fanco Wrestling show tonight, if you're enjoying the Olympics coverage and want to support the show, I would appreciate, a super chat. I appreciate every single one of those coming in that helps support the channel. It helps me to keep putting out this content every single week. And I know we have a lot of fun, and we'll get to some of your viewer questions later on. And but before we get to that, we got to talk about the highly anticipated matchups. So there are going to be some amazing matchups at the Olympic trials. And today I have 3 highly anticipated matchups for you. These aren't guaranteed. We're not sure if these are going to happen, but I have a high likelihood that we're going to see some of these awesome matchups actually happen. So before we get into that, I wanted to talk about some honorable mentions. So, and there are a lot of honorable mentions, but these are some of the ones. One, Gable Steveson and Mason Paris. They will likely meet up again, just like they have it in the NCAA championships. They will likely meet up here again at the trials because Gable got the number 2 seed behind Nick Gwizdowski. I'm also interested, I'm not putting anything past Greg Kirkfleet. I think he's kind of a dark horse, junior world champ. I think he has a shot to maybe do something here, as well as, just Gable or Paris or whoever's in that bottom half over wrestling Nick Gwizdowski. I think that could be some exciting ones because Mason and Gable both have wins over Gwiz. Gwiz has wins over both of them too, but I wanted to mention that at 125 kilos. Also, Thomas Gilman and Dayton Fix at 57 kilos. If those guys end up making the finals, there's going to be fireworks there. It's going to be another heck of a match. They've wrestled before in best of 3 series. Dayton Fix has got the better one, but Thomas Gilman does have the winning record overall over Dayton Fix. That's going to be a fun one. A lot of drama, a lot of excitement there. And David Taylor versus, honestly, anybody on the bottom. 86 kilos. Carter Sarachi and Bo Nickel. Look at that match. You have that first round. Those two are wrestling based on the brackets right now. Nate Jackson or Brooks would likely get Zahid Valencia, and I think Valencia and David Taylor is going to be another exciting match. Valencia is somebody who is kind of overlooked because David Taylor is the number one guy at the weight. He is the favorite, but that's going to be a heck of a match to watch. And if you haven't checked out the video on the channel of all the bracket breakdowns, my instant reactions, I do have a video up on the channel. And we're going to get into the first highly anticipated matchup of Zane Rutherford and Yanni Diakomahalis. But before that, I want to talk about this video is actually brought to you by channel member Richard Owsley, who just joined the Fanco Wrestling Patreon community. He was receiving, one of the people who's going to actually receive some exclusive perks and content on Patreon. Other channel members receive things such as stickers and t-shirts depending on the level that you join up on, but it's a great time over on the Patreon channel. It's also a great way, not just exclusive perks, but a great way to show your support for the show as we continue to move past the Olympics, past the Olympic trials, and into the future of wrestling. It helps me to continue to bring you great wrestling content. So let's talk about the first big matchup. I mean, Zane Rutherford and Yanni Diakomahalis. This is, if these two meet, it will be in the finals at 65 kilos. And we know that there is a lot of excitement between when these two guys wrestle. I mean, they wrestled at the Final X circuit, as you see here in this video, there was this craziness that ensued with the special wrestle-off that they had at Final X on the 2019 circuit. And Zane, I mean, let's look at these guys. Zane Rutherford has been awesome on the freestyle circuit recently. You know, he didn't have the best international results, unfortunately, the results he wanted to have. I mean, even Yanni was able to beat him at the Yassardo a couple years ago, right after Zane had made the world team. But recently, with all these freestyle events, he's had wins over Alec Pantelio, Reese Humphrey, Bajang Punya, Evan Henderson. He's had some great wins, and that's what I love about all these freestyle events is we get to see more of these matchups happen. Get to see it gives these guys a lot more training and practice as before they actually get into the Olympic trials. But he has to go through a couple guys. Like whenever I say anticipated matchups, that doesn't mean that this is automatically going to happen. I mean, look at James Green, multiple-time world medalist. Zane's going to have to get through him, or Nashawn Garrett, Anthony Ashnell, Joey McKenna. I mean, even James Green, like I said, is in the way. Joey McKenna, also I want to mention, has a win over Yanni Diakomahalis at the Senior Nationals. He teched Seth Gross in one of the freestyle events last year. Somebody not to overlook. And then Yanni, like I already said, he beat Zane overseas in the past after the Final X event last year. He finds ways to make improvements honestly, Yanni just finds ways to make improvements in the middle of matches. Like, he makes stuff up a lot of times, and that's part of the fun and excitement about his wrestling. He's a wonky little wrestler, but he also has big wins over James Green, but he's going to have to get through guys such as Frank Molinero, Henderson, Oliver. I mean, it's not an easy path to the finals at 65 kilos. It's one of the most anticipated weights for sure. And, with Zane, with these Penn State guys, it's usually if they wrestle a guy twice, they make the adjustments. They find ways to win even bigger. So I'm really looking forward to that match. But the other match I'm looking even more forward to is actually by another Nittany Lion, but was a former Ohio State Buckeye, and was wrestling at the Ohio RTC, and that is Kyle Snyder. Now, between Kyle Snyder and Jaden Cox, I mean, this is going to be a heck of a ride from start to bottom. 9 world or Olympic medals between the two of these guys, and just the fun thing about them, and before we even get into the actual matchup, so much like training changes have happened to them in the past year. With Kyle Snyder, like I already said, transferring from the Ohio RTC, going to the Nittany Lion Wrestling Club. Jaden Cox then actually moved into the Ohio RTC when Kyle Snyder moved out, which is kind of funny. But it's going to be a thrill between these two. Kyle Snyder is the Olympic gold medalist, youngest wrestling gold medalist in United States history. And they haven't actually wrestled before in college. They wrestled back in the NCAA semis when Snyder was able to get a takedown on him back then. But the question is, I mean, there's so much different wrestling going on between these two guys. I mean, so much different wrestling styles now. They've just advanced their wrestling so much. They're at such a high peak. And I don't know I don't know if Kyle Snyder's going to be able to take down J'den Cox again, just like he did in college. I mean, J'den Cox went through 2 world championships, I think it is, and didn't give up a point, didn't give up anything. Similar to a Kyle Dake situation, I believe he did a very similar thing. But J'den Cox is a multiple-time world champ, Olympic bronze medalist, and he's bumping up. The cool thing about Cox is, he's actually bumping up from 92 kilograms up to 97 kilograms. He made this announcement last February when everybody was wondering if he was going to go down to 86 or up to 97 because of where the Olympic weights land. He decided to go up to 97. And the good thing about, let's look at the past year. He essentially had another year to train, another year to get even bigger. I mean, J'den Cox is a massive guy anyways, and nearly impossible to take down. I don't know if Snyder's going to be able to do it. Let me know. Is Snyder going to be able to take down Cox should they meet in the finals? But the one bad thing that happened to J'den Cox is he did get the virus, and he suffered from that immensely. And he said it was just a horrible experience for him, unfortunately. And it affected him. It affected his training. It affected a lot for him. And you kind of saw that as you wrestled Nate Jackson at one of the Flow events. It didn't look like the best J'den Cox that we've seen. So I don't know. Is he going to be able to do something there? I mean, especially with other guys at the weight. You look at AJ Ferrari, right? Is he going to be able to do something? Mike Machiavello, Ben Honest, Hayden Zilmer. I mean, even Kyvan Gadsden, Final X guy, Final X finalist, Braxton Amos and Colin Moore. It's a loaded weight. Now, Kyle Snyder sits in the finals and J'den Cox sits in the semifinals. And another weight where something similar to that is happening is 74 kilos with JB and Kyle Dake. This is the most anticipated matchup. I mean, almost without a doubt. Everybody wants to know. There's just so much happening between these two. A lot of drama, a lot of excitement happening between Burroughs and Dake. Now, listen. It's not just going to be an easy path to the finals for Dake. Jordan Burroughs sits in the finals, and whoever makes it to him will have to wrestle in best 2 out of 3. So Jordan Burroughs has to win 2 matches to make the world team. A little bit easier than Kyle Dake, who also has to get through either Vincenzo Joseph, a Chance Marscheller, who just steamrolled through the last chance qualifier. Tommy Gant, Evan Wick. It's not going to be easy for whoever ends up making the semis against Kyle Dake. Now, Jason Nolf sits on the other side, who honestly has a little bit easier of a ride than Kyle Dake, I believe, into the finals. But I just did want to mention it's going to be absolutely crazy. Now, with Jordan Burroughs, let's look at Jordan Burroughs. He is 2012 Olympic champ. He has been the guy for Team USA in the past 2 cycles, 2012, 2016. He won that gold medal in 2012. And he has, I believe, 8 world and Olympic medals for him now. He's going to be seeking another one this year. 4-time world champ. But the interesting thing here is these two guys have wrestled quite a bit. I mean, more so than anybody, just because of the amount of time they've spent wrestling freestyle, wrestling, professionally. I mean, dating back to 2013 World Team Trials, there's been so much history. Now, JB has 7 wins over Kyle Dake. Dake's only win over Burroughs was in 2017 World Team Trials when he won the first best 2 out of 3, but then JB went back and won 2 in a row to end up making the world team, and Dake couldn't pull it off. With all this extra training since then, I mean, I'll tell you this. One of the questions that comes up, and I don't necessarily believe this, but I'm just saying I hear this. The question is, well, is Jordan Burroughs too old? Is he past his prime now? Is that going to be an issue? Is Kyle Dake's only on his way up? I don't know. I mean, it's a legitimate question to ask. I don't think so. I mean, they're like, oh, well, Jordan Burroughs just lost to David Taylor. Yeah, well, he was also giving up a few pounds. He was going up to wrestle him, and he still almost beat him. And Kyle Dake, listen, Kyle Dake is a beast. I mean, to put it, he's a beast, okay? Recent wins over Jason Nolf and Vincenzo Joseph at the Nittany Lion Wrestling Club event. And he may be one of the best to not make the Olympic team right now with always just fallen just a bit short between 2012 and 2016, having lost to Jaden Cox at 86 kilos. But he's been undefeated in the past couple years, really coming alive in 2018 Final X with his win over Zahid Valencia, back-to-back world champ. Didn't even give up a point at I don't know. I don't remember if it was one or two of the events, but didn't even give up anything. And there's a really cool article, which I have linked down below, with Flow Wrestling talking about his Kyle Dake's hit list and all the guys that he has beat in his career. And it's just an absurd amount of great wrestlers. I mean, just remember Dake and Deeringer back in 2019, who had that Special X Wrestle-Off. Same years the Yanni and Zayn Special X Wrestle-Off. Is just a crazy summer of freestyle wrestling. And his best win last year, I mean, remember the first event whenever he actually wrestled, the first big freestyle event when he wrestled Frank Chamizo, multiple-time world champ. Listen, this is going to be a crazy battle. And I'm interested to know who you think is going to win, Kyle Dake or JB. Can't wait to see what happens. And let's move on now. So this is kind of where I have been annoyed. And I see these awesome super chats coming in by Brian, by Cole. I see John Smith matching all of the super chats down in the comments. It's just awesome to see all of the matches that are coming up. Super, super cool. Help support the channel. It you know, from whether you're given $2 or $100, it all helps to support the channel, and I appreciate it all. And John Holmes, holy cow, another incredible super chat of $100 as I'm speaking right now. I'm just extremely blessed to be part of such a great community of wrestling fans, and wrestling fans who are excited for the Olympic trials. And also wrestling fans that are a little bit confused about the Olympic trials. So I've received many questions about the Olympic trials and the questions regarding them. And it's not always easy to see what happens and how to watch the event and who is wrestling in the event and why some guys are number 1 seed versus the number 2 seed. And it's so confusing and there are no answers. So I wanted to answer the most frequently asked questions about the Olympic trials in this video. And one of the first questions that I received is actually about the what are the Olympic trials? How do they work? It's a 2-day event on April 2nd and 3rd to decide the entire Team USA. To decide the entire Team USA for the Olympics. And the thing about it is there are 18 weights where each weight will have one wrestler who is on Team USA. And I maybe you're questioning a little bit about that. So basically they'll wrestle on this 2-day event to decide who is the wrestler on Team USA. If you're asking how to stream, this will be streaming on Peacock. So we'll be streaming on Peacock for you to watch. And I'll get to that in just a second. Sorry. I'm hitting some technical difficulties here, guys, for 1 second. Give me 1 second as I move off of these sources and into another thing. Please bear with me for just 1 second because I promise you I have a very exciting segment to get to. Okay. Let's restart that. So one of the most difficult things to understand is the Olympic trials, and I received so many questions like, how do you watch the event? What is this event about? Who is in the finals? It's not always easy to understand, so I wanted to answer the most frequently asked questions regarding this event. So first, the question I get is, what are the Olympic trials? Okay, easy question to answer. And how does it work? So this is a 2-day event on April 2nd and 3rd to decide the entire Team USA for the 2020 Olympics. And yes, they are still calling it the 2020 Olympics, mostly just because they don't want to waste any more marketing dollars, which is honestly kind of understandable. All 18 weights will have one wrestler. This is men's freestyle, women's freestyle, and Greco-Roman represent Team USA. It's going to be held in Texas with the challenge tournament, which is set up like a bracket and a final. So this isn't just like Final X, as we've kind of gotten used to and understood. But I will explain that in a bit because I've received so many questions about that. So some of the best guys get buys to the finals, like Jordan Burroughs and Kyle Snyder, and I'll get to that, answering that in just a second too. You're able to stream, because that's one of the next questions is, how do you stream? How do I watch the event? You can stream on Peacock and on the NBC Sports app starting Friday at 11 o'clock p.m. or 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I talked about this in a different segment, how you can watch the entire event, so make sure you're looking out for that. How do you actually qualify for the Olympic trials is another question I received. And like I said, I see some people wondering, like, these are dumb questions. It's not a dumb question. None of these are dumb questions. I didn't even follow the Olympic trials back in 2016 because there wasn't enough information out about it. And even now, it's so difficult to watch with the NBC Sports app. So none of these questions are stupid. How do you qualify? So you can't just walk off the street to qualify for the Olympic trials. You can't just walk off the street and wrestle that day. You actually do have to qualify. So any recent world team members, junior and U23 world champs, such as Bo Nickel, David Carr, Mason Paris, get automatic bids to the tournament. Senior world medalists and other international champs at certain various tournaments. NCAA champs, or the recent national champs, and the last chance finalists each get bids to the tournament. So you'll have max, I think, like 11 or 12 guys, but you do have a couple other guys throughout the tournament. And you see, so I mentioned that they're NCAA finalists, right? But what about RBY? Where's RBY? Where's Spencer Lee? I don't see them in the bracket. And there are even questions about Alex Dieringer or Anthony Valencia. Where are they? Well, unfortunately, these guys are not wrestling in this year's tournament due to any number of reasons. Spencer Lee announced that he hasn't wrestled, or it will not be wrestling because, he doesn't have any ACLs, which isn't a huge surprise, but he will hopefully be here at the next Olympic cycle in 4 years. Anthony Valencia, another guy that pulled out due to injury. RBY, I think part of his situation was kind of a weight cutting, but he will be wrestling the world team trials because of the tough weight cut. Suriano, it is looking like he's out of the tournament. Just based on what I've seen, that's what is appearing, unfortunately, from what I've seen. And I talk to you as friends, as if I'm talking to you just like a wrestling fan. I don't want to drop any rumors or anything. That's just what I'm seeing. Are the finals set yet? No, they actually are not set yet. So it's not, like I said, it's not like Final X. Where Final X, you have two finalists who qualify. And we'll get into some of these finals questions because there are a few of them. There are multiple ways to actually qualify for the event, like I said, but it's not like Final X where there are just two guys who wrestle in best 2 out of 3. It's kind of, the finals are kind of like Final X in the sense that it's whoever makes it there gets the best 2 out of 3, but that's it. Up until then, you wrestle a full bracket, but there are a couple guys who get buys to the finals. So Jordan Burroughs and Kyle Snyder both get buys to the finals. Why? Why do they get buys to the finals? Because both are defending world medalists at 74 kilos and 97 kilos. They have a full bracket, and the winner of that bracket gets JB or Kyle Snyder in a best 2 of 3. So whoever gets up to that point has to wrestle them. How do the finals work? Like I said, best 2 of 3. That's another good question. Very good question. No, why do Snyder and Dake and Burroughs why do they have to wrestle each other? What's going on with that? Why do Cox and Snyder have to wrestle? Why do Dake and Burroughs have to wrestle? Shouldn't they be at different weights? They should be, but there are only 6 Olympic weights. And because there are only 6 Olympic weights, Dake bumped down and Cox bumped up. And so they're wrestling those different weights than they normally would. Dake bumped down from 79. Cox bumped up from 92 kilos. And they were wrestling those weights because of the Olympic weights and the process. And because of that, also, because they are world champions, they would normally get a bye to the finals because they are world champions, like Snyder, like Burroughs, but they qualified and they are world medalists at the Olympic weight. While Dake and Cox are not at Olympic weight. So they get a bye to the semis of whatever weight they chose. Those are the weights they chose. Another question I saw is, why is Gwizdowski the number 1 seed over Gable Steveson, even though Gable Steveson has the most recent win over him at the Flow Wrestling RTC Cup? Well, Gwizdowski actually qualified the U.S. for the Olympics at that weight, at 125 kilos. So he automatically receives, by the rules, and I'll have everything down in the description, he automatically receives the number 1 seed. He qualified at the Pan Am qualification tournament. He's a world bronze medalist, but he's the number 1 seed over Gable Steveson. That's why. And you're wondering now, are all Olympic weights qualified for Team USA? No. 65 kilos for men's freestyle is not qualified for the Olympics. So whoever wins in men's freestyle at the Olympic team trials still has to wrestle at the qualifying world qualifier in May. The top 2 from the world qualifier in May will then qualify that weight for the Olympics. If we do not qualify in May, we will not have a 65-kilogram United States wrestler, no matter who wins. Greco-Roman at 77 kilos, as well as women's freestyle at 130 kilos, haven't qualified those weights yet. Another question I received, why should I watch? Why should I actually watch this event? If you're a high school wrestler and you want to see where you want to be when you grow up, if you're planning on wrestling in college, planning on wrestling internationally, this is a good place to start. It's a good place to start because these are the best of the best. These are the pros of the sport. If you're a fan, like I said, these are the pros of the sport. Now, I understand that it's difficult to get into freestyle wrestling, but I believe a lot more people have recently based on all these different events that have been going on. I mean, even me, like I said, I didn't even really pay much attention to the 2016 Olympic cycle just because it wasn't as exciting to me as it is now because of all these RTC events, all these freestyle events. Am I going to be at the event? No, I'm actually not going to be at the event. Unfortunately, I was at the NCAA tournament, and that was a blast, but I'm not going to be at the Olympic trials. I did actually have tickets to go to the Olympic trials when they were in State College, but now that they are in Texas, my tickets got refunded, and I wasn't able to make the trip over Easter weekend, so unfortunately, I'm not going to the event. In PA, I would have been able to, but not in Texas. And my favorite question that I received is actually by Adam Rice, a huge Hawkeye fan, who said, why doesn't the Olympic Committee just give United States every gold medal for being the best country on this earth? You know what, Adam Rice, I fully agree with you, and that's honestly my favorite thing, although it can't happen. We're going to have to win each of those weights. But I'll tell you this is my favorite time whenever you are a wrestling fan, is because it doesn't matter whether you're a Hawkeyes fan, whether you're a Penn State fan, whether you're an Oklahoma State fan, whatever school you represent, whatever school you like watching in college, once these guys get onto Team USA, you're just throwing your full support behind Team USA. And that's what it's all about. It's about supporting these guys, supporting the country, supporting the United States of America, and it's going to be a heck of a trials. Now, let's talk about predicting the Olympic team. And I see there's a lot still going off in the comments. And like John Smith said, every dollar counts. And he's still matching all of these awesome super chats down in the comments below, which I love to see that. I love to see everything going on. And now I'm going to get into the predictions of the United States Team USA Olympic team. Who do I predict will make Team USA? These are the guys, the 6 guys for men's freestyle who I predict will make the team. And I feel more comfortable doing this than, in college beforehand, just because these are the pros of the sport. Sometimes I get a little bit not questionable about whether I should do these picks for NCAA, just because, those guys are amateurs, but these guys are the pros of the sport, and I feel comfortable doing it just like I do with really any other professional sport. So at 57 kilograms, some exciting guys here, and it's appearing right now that Nick Soriano is out of the tournament. He was going to be my dark horse pick, but so many exciting guys. I mean, look at Gilman, who made 2 of the last 3 world teams, and is, just one of the best wrestlers on the scene. But there's so many guys, honestly, like the top 7, 8, Any one of these guys can make the team. Honestly, any one of these guys can make Team USA. My pick is Thomas Gilman. Why? Why do I pick Thomas Gilman over Vito Rousseau in the finals? That's who my pick is. I actually do pick Vito to upset Dayton Fix. Is that a long stretch? Maybe a little bit. But Thomas Gilman has 4 wins over Dayton Fix. He has wins over him. And although I don't believe he and Vito have wrestled, it's going to be a heck of a match, a heck of a tournament for these guys. Fix made the last world team at Finals X in 2019, and from then, he was actually suspended. And if Fix makes the team, he's going to be the luckiest son of a gun that there's been, because his suspended year, the year that he had off, was the year where there was no wrestling. The Olympics were postponed. Vito Rousseau, senior nationals champ, did well in a lot of the flow wrestling events, the RTC Cup, has been crushing it this year. And with no college wrestling, all he's been doing is training. Vito training with Yanni up in Cornell. It's all he's been doing. I also believe that Seth Gross is a real contender here at 57 kilograms. There are just so many guys. 65 kilos, another tough weight with Zane Rutherford, Yanni Yakmahalis, Jordan Oliver, James Green, Joey McKenna, Nick Lee, Frank Molinero coming out of retirement to come back for this event. Now, and there are a couple interesting Penn State guys here with like Nick Lee, who I don't necessarily know how well he's going to do in freestyle, but I still think that there's a lot of potential here. Frank Molinero, and my dark horse is, I have 2 dark horses here, and I'll tell you my actual pick. Dark horse is Frank Molinero, 2016 Olympian, placed 5th in 2016, and honestly, probably with this extra year of training, he's like, well, may as well go for it. I don't know if he was playing on it before. Jordan Oliver is another dark horse of mine. 2019 Senior Nationals, he won 5 matches in a row, all by tech. Wins over Bryce Meredith, Joey McKenna, Nick Lee. He also had Yanni and Henderson in that same bracket. He's been wrestling some freestyle events since then. Has been kind of up and down with it. But my pick, other than the contenders with McKenna and James Green, is going to be Zane over Yanni. And before you go crazy on me, here's why. And I don't, like, they're just picks. I don't know why some people get so mad about them. Like, it's not that I have anything against Yanni. I actually really like Yanni, and I'd be happy if he did make the team. But anyways, Zane beat Yanni a couple years ago. And listen, Yanni did beat him after that at the USARA Do. But typically, when Penn State guys wrestle guys a second or third or fourth time, they make those improvements they need to. And I believe that Zane's going to, having all that time since he's last wrestled Yanni, I think he's going to be able to have made those improvements. He just continued to improve since that time, looking like a wrecking ball at the Nittany Lion Wrestling Club events. That's why I choose Zane over Yanni, but I wouldn't be surprised if Yanni does get the victory, and I'll be supporting anybody who does make Team USA, just at every single one of these weights. 74 kilos is a huge one with Jordan Burroughs, who's straight to the finals, Kyle Dake, who's straight to the semis. Imar unfortunately pulled out, so he is not in the event. Jason Nolf has the number 1 seed now. Chance Marsteller, Tommy Gant. This is a tough bracket, to say the least. I mean, JB has the easy ride, considering he's in the finals, right? But first, the dark horse is Chance Marsteller. Marsteller steamrolled his way through the last chance qualifier. Steamrolled. He beat Chenzo in the finals 5-0. And he's going to run into Kyle Dake in the semis if he continues to win out. I mean, actually, it's Vincenzo's first match. So, I don't know. Maybe Chenzo makes those improvements. But, I mean, listen. Jason Nolf also has a pretty nice ride to the finals, I think. And I'm not saying it's guaranteed, but I think he has a good ride to the finals. But I think in the finals is going to be JB and Dake. I mean, these are the 2 best guys at the weight, in my opinion. So who is going to get the victory? It's got to be JB. Not got to be, but I think it's going to be JB. I think Burroughs is the guy. I mean, he is the face of USA Wrestling. He is. He was on the last 2 Olympic teams, has 8 Olympic or world medals, 2012 Olympic gold medalist is Jordan Burroughs. Now, with Kyle Dake, I mean, he's no chump. He's a 2-time world champ. It's tough to score on Dake. He just beat Frank Chamizo last year. And there's some interesting rivalries with Chamizo and Dake and Burroughs. I think a little bit of a triangle there. But the question is JB still top notch? Is Dake at his prime now? I'm going with JB, but I do want to know. Comment right now, Dake or JB. Dake or JB. Please let me know. At 86 kilos is another fun one. And I'll tell you right away, with all these guys, with David Taylor, Zahid Valencia, Pat Downey, who we haven't heard from in a little while, Miles Martin, Gabe Dean, Bo Nickel, Nate Jackson. I mean, from top to bottom, this is another loaded weight. I'll tell you right away, though, I have David Taylor and Zahid Valencia making the finals, and I have David Taylor winning. Now, Valencia, the reason I have him making the finals, and I actually think he can have a close match with David Taylor. He had a close match with Jordan Burroughs at the Flow Wrestling event. Will his energy and gas tank be enough, though? Hopefully he's had time to build it up in the past year since college has ended, since everything's ended, and since the match with even Burroughs. I think he will have a shot, to upend David Taylor. But David Taylor, world champ, I mean, top-notch guy, looking for that Olympic gold medal, been in search of his whole life, and he has a shot to get it. But he's, with all these guys, unfortunately, he's not going to be sitting in the finals like JB or Kyle Snyder, but there's also guys like Gabe Dean, who had a phenomenal, he looked like a brick wall at the last chance. He has a win over Nate Jackson. He's a win over Bo Nickel at the Nate Line Wrestling Club event. I think other contenders here are Bo Nickel, Aaron Brooks, Miles Martin, Nate Jackson, Pat Downey. I think there's a lot of potential with a lot of these guys, but I think that just Valencia and David Taylor is what's going to happen here, and DT is going to get it done and make the Team USA. Snyder and Cox at 97, but who else is there? There's a lot. Colin Moore, Hayden Zilmer, Mike Machiavello, Kyvan Gadsden, Ty Walsh, AJ Ferrari, Ben Honus, Braxton Amos. A lot of guys here. And Snyder and Cox are Olympic and world medalists in the same weight now. Cox is bumping up. He made that decision to bump up last year. Snyder has made that training shift from Ohio RTC now at the Nittany Lion Wrestling Club, and I think that may be a difference here. That's why I'm picking Snyder, is because he has been training with one of the best in the world in Keel Sanderson and has made some training shifts. I think that's where you're going to see with a couple of these guys, like a Thomas Gilman, like a Kyle Snyder, who's shifted. And I think that's what I like a lot about guys who do shift in RTCs, shift programs, is that they actually do get these different experiences, different trainings from different guys, and I think it's super important. And that's why I have Snyder and Cox making the finals. You have other contenders with Ferrari and Amos and some of these other guys. Gadsden, who's a Final X competitor, but my issue is I just think that Cox and Snyder are just the next tier above some of those guys in freestyle, in because of the fact that they've just competed for so long. And they are just both world champs, the top in the world, not just in the U.S. And I think they are just over there. I got to give it to Kyle Snyder here, but, I mean, I don't know how he's going to be able to score on Jaden Cox, who is, like, nearly impossible to get in on his legs and take him down. I don't know what's going to happen, but my bet's on Snyder. Wouldn't be surprised by Jaden Cox getting the win. And at 125 kilos, lots of guys here. Don Bradley, Greg Kirkfleet, Tanner Hall, Jordan Wood, Mason Paris, Gable Steveson, Nick Gwizdowski. Gwizdowski got the number 1 seed, Gable number 2, which is going to likely set up a Mason Paris and Gable Steveson rematch. Cannot wait to see that if it does happen, because it's freestyle. It's different, right? And Mason was kind of getting on Gable back in December saying he was dodging him, saying that because it's the same weekend at the RTC Cup when they all wrestled each other, except Gable didn't wrestle Mason. He wrestled Gwiz and beat him. Mason and Gwiz actually wrestled twice when Gwiz got one win and Mason got another win. And my dark horse, before I get into my actual pick here, and it's one of those guys, but my dark horse is Greg Kirkfleet. Just because he's a junior and cadet world champ, I don't necessarily know that he's on their level yet, but I watched him at some of these 99 Wrestling Cup events, and he's just steamrolling through guys, teching guys, similar to how Gable was doing at some of his events that I've watched him at in freestyle, in like a minute, just teching guys. And so because of that, I think that he's a dark horse, but my pick for the weight at 25 kilos is going to be Gable Steveson. Gable, coming off of a national title, just dominated his way through that tournament, and I think we're going to see him dominate his way through this bracket, maybe up until the finals. I don't think it's going to be a blowout in the finals or anything against Gwiz. It's going to be a couple-point match, but it is a match that I think Gable can win. He's won it before, and I think he can do it again. What do you think? Who is your Team USA prediction? Leave a comment at every single weight, all 6 weights, down in the comments below. I'd love to see what you have to say. And wrestling fans, before we get to this, I did want to say I've enjoyed this season tremendously. Loved everything about it. Had a blast doing videos. This will likely be the season finale for the Fanco Wrestling Show for right now. That I'm still going to be putting out videos and everything else, but likely right now, while I'm looking at a change up and some things with Fanco Wrestling, just want to let you guys know who are still here at the end of this Fanco Wrestling Show, and I'll still have my recap, everything about the Olympic trials. But for right now, the Fanco Wrestling Show will probably go on pause starting next week. Look forward to start back up with Season 4 in the upcoming weeks or months. But I did want to let you guys know that as the Fanco Wrestling super fans, my name's Josiah. Thanks for watching the Fanco Wrestling Show this season.